this live stream. If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Very happy to welcome you to this live stream. Welcome. If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Tell me where you're watching me from. It is 10th of January 2026. In fact, I've been struggling the last 10 days to say 2026. And I'm very happy to be here this wonderful evening. And I said, but reading the scripture, because time is of the essence, and we don't have the luxury of time. All right, we don't really have the luxury of time. We have to take the bull by its horns and try to read, no matter the circumstances, no matter how things are, because I understand that maybe because of the anxieties and the pressures of time, we tend to procrastinate. Like I will do it tomorrow. But trust me, I've been doing projects, and time in terms of project is of the main factor here. Not even what you're doing, it's a matter of time. And if you look at it from that perspective, you realize time is money. Time is money. We don't have the luxury of time. So we have to understand that fact, that time is very important. You can waste money, but kindly don't waste time. So we'll continue reading from where we were, and we're going to do one video, even if it's for 2 hours or 3 hours, depending on the kind of energy that we have. But I know that if we go at the right speed, we'll get there on time. Any questions up to there? Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Tell me where you're watching me from. I will give you a very, a synopsis of the book of Leviticus. The book of Leviticus is simply a story of rituals, symbolism, offerings. Those are the things that I explained yesterday. If you want to understand the meaning of symbolism, specifications, kindly go and read the book of Leviticus. It's a mind-opening book. The word consecration is very, very common in the book of Leviticus. And I want to be very precise and say that most people don't teach about the book of Leviticus. Even if you go to church on Sunday, I'm sure they don't really touch on the book of Leviticus. They conveniently ignore of Leviticus. So we're going to cover that space, and I'm sure that we're going to read and try to understand the scripture word for word. If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. If you're new to this channel, be part of this channel, and Some of these questions you're asking, it will be it will answer yourself as we continue. I can see some people are asking me questions. What is this? And what is this live stream supposed to be? Well, stay put. I'm not going to answer you that question. Time will answer you. Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Let's continue reading. All right. So on the 8th day, Moses summoned Aaron and his sons and the elders of Israel, and he said to Aaron, take a bull calf for your sin offering and a ram for your burnt offering, both without defect, and present them before the Lord. Then say to the Israelites, take a male goat for a sin offering, a calf and a lamb, both a year old and without defect. If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Tell me where you're watching me from. Such a pleasure to have you here. Somebody's asking me what is our purpose here. And I said that we're going to read the scripture. We have a goal of reading the scripture. We'll be streaming the scripture in 60 days. We are in the book of Leviticus. I hope that we'll be able to finish our goal. So if you're here, kindly understand what we are doing. Any questions up to there? I hope I've answered you, my good friend Paul. I hope I've answered you correctly. I hope I've answered you. Welcome to this channel. Let's continue reading. We're in the book of Leviticus. I said that it's our goal to stream the scripture. Welcome. Welcome to this channel. To stream the scripture for 60 days. It's something that I'm trying to challenge myself. I know it's a bit difficult, but we have, you see, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to understand why I'm doing this. I came to realize that in any project, time is of the essence. Because, you can get there, but you can get there late. So time here is the most important thing, or the most important resource that we have. Are we together? You see, because of the anxieties and the pressures and what life requires, we have to squeeze in time in between to read. I know some people are wondering, why are you doing this? Just me, I know why. I know why. Some people are asking me, don't you have something better to do? Maybe go and sleep, stuff like that. I said, okay, I will be coming for just maybe 1 hour, 2 hours, or 3 hours, just to read, because there's no time. All right, there's usually no time to do all these things. So when you say that you have a goal, it's as good as taking it from just transforming it from the idea to action. Are we together? That is where the main issue is. If you're new to this channel, please welcome to this channel. I know some people are wondering, why am I doing this? Don't worry. I said that I came to realize that people don't read the book of Leviticus and Deuteronomy. And the first time I was streaming last year, I conveniently, ignored Leviticus and Deuteronomy. But I said that this time round, we are not going to do it. We'll just go all the way. I'm sure also we have something new to learn every day. And somebody told me, as long as you're a student, if you want to teach the word, you must accept to be a student. Are we together? Yes. If you want to know something, if you want to master something, you must accept to be a student. I've accepted to be a student, and I have accepted to learn the scripture. So I'm not really, I'm also learning. So if you want to be part of this, you're welcome. Up to there, have I answered you? I hope I've answered you correctly. Let us continue. We're in Leviticus chapter 9. And there are few words that I want to explain before we start. The word consecration. That's a recurring word that's always showing up in the book of Leviticus. The meaning of the word consecration. You see, this question, the first person asked me, what is this step for and what is this live stream supposed to be? Well, I will answer you in parts as we continue, because that answer is not, when I give you one answer, is not conclusive. I have to expand on it every single day. Are we together? Now, let's continue reading. Let's continue reading. They took the things of Moses, commanded them to the front of the tent of meeting, and the entire assembly came near and stood. I think I've answered you. All right. Then Moses said, "This is what the Lord has commanded you to do, so that the glory of the Lord may appear to you." Moses said to Aaron, "Come to the altar and sacrifice your sin offering and your burnt offering and make atonement for yourself and the people. Sacrifice the offering that is for the people and make atonement for them as the Lord has commanded." If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. So Aaron came to the altar and sacrificed the calf as a sin offering for himself. His sons brought the blood to him, and he dipped his finger into the blood and put it on the horns of the altar. The rest of the blood he poured at the base of the altar. On the altar he burned the fat, the kidneys, and the long lobe of the liver from the sin offering, as the Lord commanded Moses. The flesh and hide he burned outside the camp. Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, feel free to subscribe, comment. I wish you, if you have any question, kindly, the question should be related to what we are doing. Kindly observe those, standing, I will call them standing orders. Just observe, that kind of, should be relevant. Any question should be related to what we are doing. Are we together? Kindly observe that, so that we can have a very conducive, a very conducive stream. All right. I wouldn't want to respond in a negative way. Any questions up to there? We are reading the scripture, so if you want to be part of this, you're welcome. Any questions up to there? Then he slaughtered the burnt offering. The sons handed him the blood, and he splashed it against the sides of the altar. He handed him the burnt offering piece by piece, including the head, and burned them on the altar. He washed the internal organs and the legs and burned them on top of the burnt offering on the altar. It is my goal, ladies and gentlemen, to finish reading the book of Leviticus this morning. If we do that, I'll be very, very happy. I hope, because this is a very serious book. I hope we'll be finished by 7. It's around, I think 3. We have 4 hours to read. Don't worry, we'll be streaming live. Aaron then brought the offering that was for the people. He took the goat for the people's sin offering and slaughtered it and offered it for a sin offering as he did with the first one. He brought the burnt offering and offered it in the prescribed way. He also brought the grain offering, took a handful of it, and burned it on the altar, in addition to the morning's burnt offering. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have, explained the procedure. Also the book of Leviticus, and let me help you there. The book of Leviticus is there to explain the procedure, not just there's a procedure that people took. All right. And if you've been following this channel, I've been explaining the meaning of symbolism. Do you know the meaning of symbolism? There is symbolism. I want you to understand the meaning of the word symbolism. If you understand symbolism and if you understand divine architecture, then you'll be able to follow what we are doing in the book of Leviticus. Are we together? So everything was by design. There was nothing that was, by accident. What they were doing, the timing of what they were doing, and etc. The offerings, what was required. Everything was up to the there was attention. Are we together? They were not, guesswork. There was no guesswork. They were doing things as prescribed by the law. Any questions up to there? He slaughtered the ox. For example, if they wanted to slaughter an animal, they would put their hands off the animal. For example, for atonement of sins. If you have been following this channel, you realize that the word atonement of sins and burnt offering, those are things that are very common in the book of Leviticus and what they were doing step by step. And he slaughtered the ox and the ram as the fellowship offering for the people. His sons handed him the blood. So there was the importance of the blood and how they were handling it. Are we together? They were sprinkling the blood on the sides of the altar. Kindly, let's continue reading. As the fellowship offering for the people, his sons handed him the blood, and he splashed it against the sides of the altar. But the fat portions of the ox and the ram, the fat tail, the layer of the fat, the kidneys, and the long lobe of the liver, these they laid on the breasts, and then Aaron burned the fat on the altar. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to explain what is happening here. We'll read in the next chapter, that there was a procedure it was not the spirit. They're supposed to follow the law to the letter, not the spirit, the letter. Everything was followed to the letter. Are we together? Everything was followed to the letter. When it came to offering of thanksgiving offerings, burnt offerings, wave offerings, all these things, there was a procedure to everything. And we were reading about the ordination of Aaron and his sons, and you can remember that they took the blood, sprinkled the blood on the ears, the right ear, the right hand, and the big toe of their feet. That is found in the book of Leviticus chapter 8, verses 22. All right? So we'll continue reading from there. Moses said to Aaron and his remaining sons, Eleazar and Ithamar, take the grain offering left over from the food offerings prepared without yeast, and present it to the Lord, and eat it beside the altar, for it is most holy. Eat it in the sanctuary area, because it is your share and your son's share of the food. Offerings presented to the Lord, for so have been commanded. But you and your sons and your daughters may eat the breast that was waved and the thigh that was presented. Eat them in a ceremonially clean place. They have been given to you and your children as your share of the Israelites' fellowship offerings. The thigh presented and the breast that was waved must be brought with the fat portions of the food offerings to be waved before the Lord as a wave offering. Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. This will be a perpetual share for you and your children, as the Lord had commanded. When Moses inquired about the goat offering and found that it had been burned, he was angry with Eleazar and Ithamar, Aaron's remaining sons, and asked, "Why did you eat the sin offering in the sanctuary area? It is most holy. It was given to you to take away the guilt of the community by making atonement for them before the Lord. Since its blood was not taken into the holy place, you should have eaten the goat in the sanctuary area, as I commanded." Aaron replied to Moses, "Today they sacrifice their sin offering and their burnt offering before the Lord, but such things as these have happened to me. Would the Lord have been pleased if I had eaten the sin offering today?" When Moses heard this, he was satisfied. Any questions up to there? Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. You can see here the sons of Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, they put fire and added incense, and they offered the unauthorized fire before the Lord, contrary to his demand. So the fire came from the presence of the Lord and consumed them, and they died before the Lord. So Moses then said to Aaron, "This is what the Lord spoke of me when he said, 'Among those who approach me, I was proved holy. In the sight of all the people, I will be honored.'" And Aaron remained silent. Moses summoned Michael and Elizaphan, the sons of Aaron's uncle Uzziel, and said to them, "Come here and carry your cousins out of the camp, away from the front of the sanctuary." So they came, carried them, still in their tunics, outside the camp. Then Moses said to Aaron and his sons, Eleazar and Ithamar, "Do not let your hair become unkempt. Do not tear your clothes, or you will die, and the Lord will be angry with the whole community. But your relatives, all the Israelites, may mourn for those the Lord has destroyed by fire." So these are the two sons of Aaron, that is the Nadab and Abihu. They went and started playing, and they started, they went to present themselves to the altar, contrary to what was commanded, and they died on the spot. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to say this, that it is the altar that is speaking. I hope you understand that, not an individual. Those are two things that we need to understand. You see, there's a person, an altar, and I want to explain very quickly. An altar is something that has been set up for human beings to communicate with the spirit world. Now, one characteristic of an altar is that it is serviced by a human being. An altar cannot service itself. Are we together? That is, whether it is a good altar or a bad altar, it is serviced by a human being. All right, that is one thing that you need to know. One thing is that there's an altar, and then there's an agent, a human agent. Are we together? And there are things that an altar speaks. An altar is something that is speaking. And I know that sounds, it sounds out of the blue, but it is true. So here, Nadab and Abihu went and started playing with an altar. And what happened is fire came from the presence of the Lord and consumed them. Are we together? So they were told not to shave their hair and to take their bodies outside the camp. Then Moses told them, then the Lord said to Aaron, you and your sons are not to drink wine or any fermented drink whenever you go into the tent of meeting, or you will die. Where is my pen? Yes. You are not supposed to drink any wine. You and your sons are not to drink wine or any other fermented drink whenever you go into the tent of the meeting, or you will die. It's a lasting ordinance of the generations to come, so that you can distinguish between the holy and the common, between the unclean and the clean, and so that you can teach the Israelites all the decrees the Lord has given them through Moses. If you're new to this channel, subscribe, comment, tell me where you're watching me from. We're just here for 1 hour, so don't just bear with me. If you're willing to join me, you're free to join me. Then Moses said to Aaron and his remaining sons, Eleazar and Ithamar, take the grain offering left over from the food offerings prepared without yeast, and present it to the Lord, and eat it beside the altar, for it's most holy. Eat it in the sanctuary area, because it is your share and your son's share of the food offerings presented to the Lord. For so I have been commanded. But you and your sons and your daughters may eat the breast that was waved and the thigh that was presented. Eat them in a ceremonially clean place. They have been given to you and your children as your share of the Israelites' fellowship offerings. The thigh that was presented and the breast that was waved must be brought with the fat portions of the food offerings to be waved before the Lord as a wave offering. This will be the perpetual share for you and your children, as the Lord had commanded. When Moses inquired about the goat, we're just repeating that verse. If you're new to this channel, subscribe, comment, tell me where you're watching me from. And found that it had been burned, he was angry with Eleazar and Ithamar, Aaron's remaining sons, and asked, why didn't you eat the sin offering in the sanctuary area? It is most holy. It was given to you to take away the guilt of the community by making atonement for them before the Lord. Since its blood was not taken into the holy place, you should have eaten the goat in the sanctuary area as I commanded. Any questions up to there? We are just about to go to chapter 11. I want to just make something very clear here. Then Aaron replied to Moses, today they sacrifice their sin offering and their burnt offering before the Lord, but such things as these have happened to me. Would the Lord have been pleased if I had eaten the sin offering today? When Moses heard this, he was satisfied. Chapter 11. We'll be reading word for word. If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Tell me where you're watching me from. I know you guys are tired. I'm also tired. But we have to continue at the right speed. Let's continue. You see here in the book of Leviticus, as I said, most of it is not taught. I don't think there's any person. I've never gone to a church and they taught me Leviticus. That is your own, that is your own way of doing it. You have to find time and read it on your own. So let's continue reading. Clean and unclean food. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, say to the Israelites, of all the animals that live on land, these are the ones you may eat. You may eat any animal that has a divided hoof and that chews the cud, that has 4 stomachs. These are some that only chew. There are some that only chew the cud and only have a divided hoof, but you must not eat them. The camel, though it chews the cud, does not have a divided hoof. It is ceremonially unclean for you. The hyrax, though it chews the cud, does not have a divided hoof. It is unclean for you. The rabbit, though it chews the cud, does not have a divided hoof. It is unclean. The rabbit is also unclean. Allah. And the pig, though it has a divided hoof, does not chew the cud. It is unclean for you. You must not eat their meat or touch their carcasses. They are unclean for you. For all the animals living in the water of the seas and the streams, you may eat any that has fins and scales. But all the creatures in the seas or streams that do not have fins and scales, whether among all the swarming things or among all the other living creatures in the water, you are to regard as unclean. And since you are to regard them as unclean, you must not eat their meat. You must regard their carcasses as unclean. Anything living in the water that does not have fins and scales, it is regarded as unclean by you. These are the birds you are to regard as unclean and not eat because they are unclean. The eagle, you're not supposed to eat the eagle. The vulture, the black vulture, the red kite, any kind of black kite, any kind of raven, the horned owl, the gull, any kind of hawk, the little owl, the cormorant, the great owl, the white owl, the desert owl, the osprey, the stork, any kind of heron, the hoopoe, and the bat. All flying insects that walk on all fours are to be regarded as unclean by you. These are, however, some flying insects that walk on all fours that you may eat, those that have joint legs for hopping on the ground. Of these you may eat any kind of locust, cricket, cicada, or grasshopper. But all the other flying insects that have 4 legs, you are to regard as unclean. Any questions up to there? We'll continue reading slowly. I want us to cover some few chapters before, I know the book of Leviticus is a very, very serious book. It's a very serious book, so we have to take time to read it. So bear with me. I know, the more interesting books are next, but we have to at least have knowledge in this part. Any questions up to there? You will make yourself unclean by these. Whoever touches their carcasses will be unclean till evening. Whoever picks up one of their carcasses must wash their clothes, and they will be unclean till evening. Every animal that does not have a divided hoof or does not chew the cud is unclean for you. Whoever touches the carcass of any of them will be unclean. Of all the animals that walk on all fours, those that walk on their paws are unclean for you. Whoever touches their carcasses will be unclean till evening. Very interesting stuff. If you're new to this channel, subscribe, comment. Very happy to be here. Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, please be part of this program. We are reading the scripture. We have 60 days to read the scripture. That's one of our goals. I hope by 1st of March we'll be done. So welcome. Every day I said I'd be investing something small for this channel. I'll be investing in something for this channel. Any questions? Wow. If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Such a wonderful time to be here. Very happy to be here. Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Questions up to there? Any questions up to there? Let's continue reading. Of the animals that move along the ground, these are unclean for you: the weasel, the rat, any kind of great lizard, the gecko, the meter lizard, the wall lizard, the skink, and the chameleon. Of those that move along the ground, these are unclean for you. Whoever touches them when they are dead will be unclean till evening. When one of them dies and falls on something, that article, whatever its use, will be unclean. Whether it's made of wood, cloth, hide, or sackcloth, put it in water, it will be unclean till evening, and then it will be clean. If one of them falls into a clay pot, everything in it will be unclean, and you must break the pot. Any food you are allowed to eat that has come into contact with water from such a pot is unclean, and any liquid that is drunk from such a pot is unclean. Anything that one of their carcasses falls on becomes unclean. An oven or cooking pot must be broken up. Any questions up to there? They are unclean, and they are to regard them as unclean. A spring, however, or a cistern for collecting water remains clean. But anyone who touches one of these carcasses is unclean. If a carcass falls on any seeds that are to be planted, they remain clean. But if water has been put on the seed and a carcass falls on it, it becomes unclean. Wow. So here in chapter 11, it's about things being clean and unclean. We'll just move on without really, I won't even talk about that. So if an animal that you are allowed to eat dies, anyone who touches its carcass will be unclean till evening. Anyone who eats some of its carcass must wash their clothes. They will be unclean till evening. Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe, comment, tell me where you're watching me from. Anyone who picks up the carcass must wash their clothes, and they will be unclean till evening. Every creature that moves along the ground is to be regarded as unclean. It is not to be eaten. They are not to eat any creature that moves along the ground, whether it moves on its belly or walks on all fours or on many feet. It is unclean. Do not defile yourselves by any of them creatures. Do not make yourselves unclean by means of them, or be made unclean by them. I am the Lord your God. Consecrate yourselves and be holy, because I am holy. Do not make yourselves unclean by any creature that moves along the ground. I am the Lord who brought you out of Egypt to be your God. Therefore be holy, because I am holy. These are the regulations concerning animals, birds, every living thing that moves about in the water, and every creature that moves along the ground. You must distinguish between the clean and the unclean, between living creatures that may be eaten and those that may not be eaten. Purification after childbirth. Leviticus 12. God said to Moses, say to the Israelites, a woman who becomes pregnant and gives birth to a son will be ceremonially unclean for 7 days, just as she is unclean during her monthly period. On the 8th day, the boy is to be circumcised. Then the woman must wait 33 days to be purified from her bleeding. She must not touch anything sacred to go to the sanctuary until the days of her purification are over. If she gives birth to a daughter for 2 weeks, the woman will be unclean during her period. She must wait 66 days to be purified from her bleeding. Wow. When the days of her purification for a son or daughter are over, she is to bring to the priest at the entrance to the tent of the meeting a year-old lamb for a burnt offering and a young pigeon or a dove for a sin offering. That is after childbirth. There is what you are required to take to the priest. Are we together? That is after 33 days, and that is for a boy, and after 66 days for a girl. Let's continue. She must offer them before the Lord to make atonement for her, and then she will be ceremonially clean from the flow of blood. One of the things, for those who are asking me why we are reading the book of Leviticus, I'll give you a very simple explanation, my brothers and my sisters. One of the things that you need to know is that when it comes to specifications, one of the things I realized is that as Christians, most people usually, they take things for granted. When people talk about offering, you say that the pastor is interested in making money out of you. But most people argue from a point of ignorance. I want us to argue from a point of knowledge. All these people who practice secret arts or they are in occultism, they know all this stuff. The books of occult are all about symbolism and stuff like that. What to do, what to mix, this and this and this. So it's not really that you do not do this, do not do that. No, it's just symbolism and following whatever you have been told to the latter. And that is what they do. That's why when you go to, that's why you see a witch doctor. They have their paraphernalia. That is the word. They have their own paraphernalia. You see, there are things they use. You see, they have their own things there. They have small idols they consult. So that is called paraphernalia. And they follow their things to the latter. They don't even miss. They don't even miss any second. They follow everything they've been told to the latter. They don't even make any mistake. If they're told to come at a particular time, they don't miss their point. Unfortunately, for most Christians, we usually stroll to church. When you're told to give offering, you start arguing, start saying that the pastor is bent on enriching himself through your offering. Unfortunately, I would want you to read the scripture. It will change your perspective on how we interact with these people. When the days of purification, we've read that these are the regulations for the woman who gives birth to a boy or a girl. But if she cannot afford a lamb, she is to bring 2 doves or 2 young pigeons, one for a burnt offering and the other for a sin offering. In this way, the priest will make atonement for her and she will be clean. Those are one of the things that I will discuss. Also, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to fasting and praying, fasting is not really a Christian thing. I want to emphasize that. They say that when Jesus wanted some spiritual power, he fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. When Moses went to take the 10 commandments, he fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. When Elijah went to Mount Horeb, he fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. That is, if for you to gain some kind of spiritual power. Same thing to our counterparts. Let me call them our counterparts because there are many. I will not name them. They usually go also for spiritual journey. Somebody goes for a spiritual journey, and when he comes back, they say, I'm going to take some things. They just say, I'm going somewhere. And then, in that process, they gain something. They'll not tell you what they have gained, but they have gained spiritually, and that is exactly what I'm trying to tell you. When Elijah was to anoint Elisha, he stayed at Mount Horeb for 40 days, right? When the laws were being handed down to us, it was a process. They waited for 40 days for the law to be handed to us. Are we together? So fasting and praying is not really a Christian thing. Most people think, unfortunately, most people think it's a Christian thing, but it's not. Any questions up to there? Regulations about defiling skin diseases. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, when anyone has a swelling or a rash or a shiny spot on their skin, that may be a defiling skin disease. They must be brought to Aaron the priest or one of the sons who is a priest. The priest is to examine the sore on the skin, and if the hair in the sore has turned white and the sore appears to be more than skin deep, it is a defiling skin disease. When the priest examines that person, he shall pronounce them ceremonially unclean. If the shiny spot on the skin is white but does not appear to be more deep and the hair in it has not turned white, the priest is to isolate the affected person for 7 days. On the 7th day, the priest is to examine them, and if he sees that the sore is unchanged and has not spread in the skin, he is to isolate them for another 7 days. On the 7th day, the priest is to examine them again, and if the sore has faded and has not spread in the skin, this priest may pronounce them clean. It is not a rash. They must wash their clothes and they will be clean. But if the rash does spread in their skin after they have shown themselves to the priest to be pronounced clean, they must appear before the priest again. Wow. The priest is to examine that person, and if the rash has spread in the skin, he shall pronounce them unclean. It is a defiling skin disease. When anyone has a defiling skin disease, they may be brought to the priest. The priest is to examine them, and if there is a white swelling in the skin that has turned the hair white, and if there is a raw flesh in the swelling, it's a chronic skin disease, and the priest shall pronounce them unclean. Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe, comment, tell me where you're watching me from. Ooh, yes, sir. Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. I'm usually very happy to be here reading the scripture. Such a wonderful thing to do. Any questions up to there? You're free to ask me your questions. Don't feel shy. I am here for you to answer your questions, at least for 1 hour, 2 hours, or 3 hours. You can ask me your questions regarding what we are doing, or if you have a question that is really burning, you can ask me your question. Any questions up to there? If this disease breaks out all over their skin, and so far as the priest can see, it covers all the skin of the affected person from head to foot, the priest is to examine them, and if the disease has covered their whole body, he shall pronounce them clean. Since it has all turned white, they are clean. But whenever raw flesh appears on them, they will be unclean. Then the priest sees the raw flesh, he shall pronounce them unclean. The raw flesh is unclean. They have a defiling disease. Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. We'll be reading very slowly. There's no problem whatsoever. If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. The priest is to examine them, and the sores are turned white. The priest shall pronounce the affected person clean. Then they will be clean. When someone has a boil on their skin and it heals, and in the place where the boil was, a white swelling or reddish spot appears, they must present themselves to the priest. This was quite draconian in nature. The priest is to examine it, and if it appears to be more than skin deep, and the hair in it has turned white, the priest shall pronounce that person unclean. It is a defiling skin disease that has broken out where the boil was. But if, when the priest examines it, there is no white hair in it, and it is not more than skin deep and has faded, then the priest is to isolate them for 7 days. Welcome to this stream. Any questions up to there? I know you guys are tired, but we have to read word for word. I know. It's a very interesting face. I know. It's a very interesting place. But we have to go through that process. We're not jumping any chapter, because the last time, as I said, we were reading ladies and gentlemen, the last time I said that while we were reading the scripture, we conveniently ignored the book of Leviticus and Deuteronomy. But I said that this time round, we're not going to do that. We're going to read every chapter word for word. There's a reason why. Because last time, when we were reading the scripture, this is our second time reading it, there was that sense of urgency to read it. But this year, I said that I want to change some of the mistakes that we did last year, and just take our time to read. That way, we're not going to, there's no rush. I don't want us to rush and read, finish. I want us to understand the fine print and the blueprint of every chapter. That way, we're going to understand the scripture in a deeper way, not just the shallow daily devotions. I don't want to be involved in that. I don't want us to read, but I don't want us to do a shallow devotion. I want us to understand, the scripture and digest the word. Even if it is just for theological purposes, it's okay. But that way we're going to grow in the word. All right. It's a very tedious process, but I can assure you, ladies and gentlemen, that once we are done with reading the word, we will be imparted with the knowledge. Any question up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Tell me where you're watching me from, and ask me kindly, ladies and gentlemen, ask me questions that are related to what we are doing. All right? Yeah. If that is any questions. Okay. Any questions? Kindly ask me your questions. We are just about to start another stream. I can see we've finished 1 hour. We're going to do another one, and another one, and another one. Any questions? When someone has a burn on their skin and a reddish white or white spot appears on the raw flesh of the burn, the priest is to examine the spot, and if the hair in it has turned white and it appears to be more than skin deep, it's a defiling disease that has broken out in the burn. The priest shall pronounce them unclean. It's a defiling skin disease. But if the priest examines it and there is no white hair in the spot, and it is not more than skin deep and has faded, then the priest is to isolate them for 7 days. On the 7th day, the priest is to examine that person, and if it is spreading in the skin, the priest may pronounce them unclean. It is a defiling skin disease. If, however, the spot is unchanged and has not spread in the skin, but has faded, it is a swelling from the burn, and the priest may pronounce them clean. Any questions up to that? So here in chapter 13, we'll go step by step. Don't worry, I'm not going to rush. I don't want us to do, rash decisions. I want us to go slowly, from one place to another. There's no rush. I don't want us to go running. No, I want us to go very slowly and try to understand the scripture. Why? The most important question we should ask ourselves is why? Because, those days, I can imagine that leprosy was some kind of divine punishment. All right. If somebody has sinned, then, it manifested itself on their skin. Are we together? So if somebody has done something, that whatever they have done, it will manifest itself on their skin. All right. So here, some of those diseases were because they were not living in apartments or stuff like that. They were living in tents. All right. So I'd say for the sake of public safety, for the sake of the health of others, whoever had a skin disease was to be separated from the rest. Are we together? And that was taken seriously. It's not like today where we have the Ministry of Health. Those days there was no Ministry of Health, so they had to do it. They had to take every precaution to ensure that people don't mingle freely with people who have those leprosy and some of those diseases, because they were contagious in nature. So such people were to be separated from the rest of the flock, so that they would not transmit some of those diseases to others. Are we together? So they would examine each person and the level of their disease. Are we together? They would examine each person and their level of disease. If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. We're going to start another stream. Join me on my next stream. It's already 1 hour, so we're going to start another stream in a minute.